Hey guys, it's Sam, and this is my spoiler-free review of Saint Death's Daughter by CSE Cooney. This is such a weird little book, and well, not little, it's pretty long. And I've heard basically no one talk about it, so I hope you guys will stick around and hear what this is about, because yeah, it's weird. But I think it will appeal to a lot of people who like other weird books. How do I even have a description of this? So this is the first book in a adult fantasy. I don't know how long the series is gonna be. There's no announcement for a second book. I didn't even know that this wasn't a standalone when I was reading it, and that actually changed my rating of it based on it being a series, which I didn't know when I was originally reading it. But it's the first book in a series and follows the main character of Lainey Stones, who is a necromancer in a necromancer family who have always served like the royals. Her father was the necromancer for a while, and her mother was like the royal executioner. And Lainey has this necromantic ability, but she's also allergic to violence, which makes things problematic. So she lives in this very violent family, and she's allergic to violence. So like basically if she hears about violence or witnesses it or whatever, her body like gets those same wounds. It's a problem. Basically at the beginning of the story, her parents die or are presumed murdered, and she has to reach out to her sister because there are some family debts that her parents accrued that they didn't know about, and her sister needs to come back from where she's living in another country, and her sister is horribly abusive and also has this like glamour magic where she can kind of convince people to do anything, and if they don't basically pay their debts ASAP, this whole other family is going to take the house, and that includes their revenant Goody Graves, who is like a necromantic revenant that is basically Lainey's best friend. And everything kind of goes from there, and that's what the synopsis says, but I will tell you that like that's not even the main point of this. This story is like that plus Lainey learning to be a necromancer, having a love situation brewing with her childhood friend that is a non-binary fire priest, and then Lainey's sister comes home with a man from another country and basically forces him to be her husband. And he has all this like weird bird magic. There's a lot of bird magic. So people turning into birds, bird magic. One of the main villains is this like woman who collects wizard husbands, and they all turn into birds, and necromancers. Let me talk more about this. So first off, we'll talk about the world building. Like I said, this is like creepy bone shit necromancer stuff. You guys know I love a necromancer. So the magic and the necromancy in this, love it. So if you love like the necromancy crazy bone shit in the Locked Tomb series by Tamsin Muir, I think you're gonna like this. This has that same level of like creepy bone shit. And it's also kind of like a wacky wild ride in a not the same way. This is definitely like quirky gothic horror elements fantasy, where that is definitely like sci-fi, but this, yeah, if you like the bone stuff, you're gonna like the bone stuff here. There's also a bunch of different kinds of magic, so I kind of just mentioned that there's people who can like turn into birds, multiple different people that can turn into birds, and like there's just like bird magic. There's different areas of the world, and like they speak in different ways, and their magic is different. There's different gods. So we have Lainey, who basically worships Saint Death, who's like a death god, but there's like 12 different gods, and depending on the area that people are from, either they worship like one or two gods, or they worship like all 12, and there's like all the stuff around that. This is a book that does have footnotes, so if you don't like that, just know that, but they're just kind of like funny, and they're usually the family history of the Stones family, because one of the things that they talk about is that the Stones always die young. They usually get themselves into like horrible situations, and they can kind of be awful people. And yeah, there's just like really complex, so if you're not into that, you're not gonna like this. There's times that even I was sometimes confused, but there's like very complex world building magic, things like that. Like the magic is not complicated in like the system of it, but there's just like a lot of stuff in this one book. Next, we'll talk about our characters. Our main character of Lainey, I liked her. I love a necromancer. She's a necromancer with like heart. And this idea that she has this allergy that makes her like very sensitive to violence. And just the way that their magic works, also they get like surges of magic around like equinox and stuff, so there's like some witchy elements here too. But I liked her. The romance that she has with, again, this like non-binary priest character, hit and miss with that. Like I still can't tell if we're supposed to be rooting for it or not in this series, which is like very interesting. So I dig that. There is a relationship with like a child character that I found very endearing. The relationship that she has with the Revenant is very endearing and sweet. Just the growth that she goes throughout the story, while slow, because this is, I would say this is like kind of like a slower paced, medium paced book, was enjoyable to read. And like all of these side characters are very interesting. She runs into like a motley crew of people. There's like a like piratey fish woman at one point. There's different celebrations where people basically dress up in drag, which is like very fun. Like there's just a lot of different quirky eccentric things happening in this one story with these like eccentric people. So the cast of side characters is very interesting, and even the different villains are all very compelling. As far as the plot, again, it's a little bit meandering at times. There were times that I felt like the pacing was like slightly off, so that can be for giving it like a full 5 stars. I think I gave this around a 4, maybe like a 3.54. So there's things about the plot that were like a little bit meandering. There's things about like the writing that get it a little bit bogged down in like all the world building. And originally, like I said at the beginning, I didn't know that this was a series. So I felt like there was a lot of things that weren't wrapped up because it's a series. So as a standalone, I was like 3. And then I was like, oh, no, this is a series. We're gonna have more of this. So this was enjoyable. It's weird, it's quirky. I really recommend it. If you like any of those things, if you like weird magic, if you like bird stuff, if you like necromancy, if you like complicated family dynamics, if you like complicated relationship dynamics, I think you'd enjoy this. If you like non-human companions, lots of stuff in here to enjoy. So I gave this about a 4 out of 5 stars. I will be looking forward to when the next book is gonna be released. I don't know when, because this one came out middle of this year, I think, and there's no announcement of a next book, but like, please, because there's a lot of loose ends that are not wrapped up at all in this. It's not a cliffhanger per se, there's just some loose ends. So comment below and let me know if you've read Saint Death's Daughter, or if you're going to now that I've talked about it and it being a weird little book. Thank you all for watching, and I'll see all of you guys soon. Bye.